Okay, apologies for the technical difficulties. Uh, I don't know. I got disconnected, or rather, the internet it shut off for some reason. Okay, probably a good idea to get a refund or something from Verizon. All right, so I don't know where I left off, but I was addressing the second question: is there a limit on how much zakat should be given to one person? So as I was saying, um, one should not give that much zakat where the person becomes owner of the nisab amount, because according to the Hanafi school, that is makruh. This person would then be eligible to give zakat after one lunar year, if one lunar year has lapsed on the entirety of that wealth, of that amount. Uh, is it, however, okay to do that? Sure, it is, and your zakat would stand as fulfilled. So let's say you have $5,000 to give as zakat, um, and you give that entire amount to someone who's eligible to receive zakat. Yeah, sure, your zakat stands as fulfilled, but there is a slight karaha to it. There is a little bit of detestability in that, according to the Hanafi school. So one should not give that much zakat where a person becomes ultimately eligible to give zakat after one year. But yes, the zakat is considered as fulfilled if a person does do that. Not a problem. Okay. Can we swim and make wudu in lakes where non-Muslims swim? All right. So now the thing over here is that um, a lake is a large body of water. So how do we define a large body of water? So we define, and this this definition would apply and would be applicable to pools at home. So that would be considered a large body of water. So the definition of a large body of water is that if you were to do wudu on the bank of that lake or pond, and the ripples of that wouldn't reach the other side, that would be considered a large body of water. I mean, definitions of large body, they have varied over the years, and actually not over the years, over the centuries, according to classical scholars. I think it would be better to leave it up to the actual person, where the person himself defines that what is considered a large body of water. So, and the reason why I'm saying this is that if something is considered a large body of water, then it doesn't matter, who's bathing in it and who's swimming in it. Even though that person might be impure, the water doesn't. The water is not affected by that impurity. And non-Muslims, obviously, when it comes to bathroom hygiene, they're not as thorough as Muslims when it comes to bathroom hygiene. So that's not something non-Muslims are known for. Our bathroom hygiene, it's something that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned in hadith, that one must attain complete purity after relieving oneself. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the people of Quba, that they would what they would do, and this was because of their desire to attain a high level of purity. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, and he Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states and highlights that fihi rijalun yuhibbuna an yatatahharu, that there are men and there are people that highly in the Quran. So, and this, the reason being is that not only did the people of Quba, not only did they use dirt clods, and but they would also use water. So they use dirt clods and they would use water to achieve a high level of purity. I mean, that would be that we can analogize. We can analogize today that instead of dirt clods, we use tissue paper or toilet paper, and then we use water. So in those days, they didn't have tissue, use dirt clods, smooth stones, and they would use water. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loved this so much that Allah mentions it in the Quran. And this is because purity for Muslims, this is a very serious thing. I mean, Muslims, it comes in so many hadith, at-tuhuru shatrul iman, that purity is half of iman. The books of hadith, believe it or not, majority of the books of hadith, they start with kitab al-tahara, the book of purity, because it's the, when a person is pure, then that person is able to do so many things. He's able to recite Quran. He's able to read the Salah, which is one of the pillars of Islam. He's capable of doing tawaf, which is a requirement according to all of the schools, I believe. So all of these things require ritual purity. So to achieve that ritual purity, the scholars, they have devoted entire books just on the importance of achieving purity. That, okay, how do we classify someone who is in the state of impurity, and how do we classify someone who's in the state of purity? So the scholars, they have begun their compilations on hadith just on purity and how to achieve purity and what constitutes purity. So yes, to answer the question, can we swim and make dua in lakes, ponds where non-Muslims are swimming? Sure. It's permissible to do that as long as it's considered a large body of water. And I'll leave it up to the person to decide that, okay, as long as he feels or she feels that, well, you know what, this is a large body of water, it's okay, I can do wudu. As I said, classical scholars, they've defined large bodies of water very differently over the centuries. They would, I can mention a few definitions. One is that if you do wudu on the bank of a pond or a lake, the ripples don't reach the other side. That's one definition. Second definition is that when you're doing wudu, the sand and the bedrock, it's not affected, right? Where it starts coming up and it starts to cloud the water. A third definition, and this is more precise, 10 by 10. 10 by 10. So 10 by 10, I think, if I remember correctly, it's 30 meters by 30 meters. That's 10 by 10 according to classical scholars, but I'm going to have to look at this again. I mean, the best definition is if a person comes, across a lake or a pond, and he needs to do wudu, he sees, non-Muslims swimming and stuff. If he feels that, well, you know what, this is a large enough body of water, it's not going to be affected by impurity, by all means, go ahead and do wudu. To be more specific, if people are going to, Lake George, or they're going to the Finger Lakes, or they're doing wudu from, the Mohawk River. I mean, the Mohawk River has probably other problems and stuff, because I think they dumped sanitation in there some time back. So perhaps not a good idea to do wudu from there, even though from a strict juristic perspective, it would be considered as valid, as pure water, because of the sheer volume of water that's in the Mohawk River. So yes, you can do wudu from lakes and ponds and swimming pools where non-Muslims are swimming, and the water is not going to be affected by their najasa, by their impurities. Okay. I think Dr. Hadi Minhas had asked a question on the previous feed. If you could just write that question again before I get to Brother Khizr Qureshi's question. Okay, so before I get to your question, let me just answer these. So if a person has a necklace with Ayatul Kursi, do they need wudu to wear it? Does it matter if there's skin contact or not? Well, first and foremost, men should not wear necklaces. This is something that's specific to women. It's an adornment for women. It's beautification for women. For men, the only jewelry that's okay to wear is the jewelry that you put on your fingers, or a watch. I mean, that is the extent. So to wear a necklace, no, that would be that would be a problem for men. So this question would be more geared towards sisters, though. So if they have a necklace with Ayatul Kursi, do they need wudu to wear it? Yes. If it's something that's covered, then no, you don't need wudu. But if it's something open, it's conspicuous, then yes, you do need wudu, especially if it's touching the skin. So if it's not touching the skin, different story, right? But if it's touching the skin, yes, wudu is a requirement, and especially when you're going to the restroom, to go into the restroom with verses of the Quran on your neck, it's conspicuous. I mean, this is disrespectful to the Quran. This is disrespectful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is one of the shi'ar of Islam. This is one of the Quran is one of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one should not, wear anything that has Quran and go to the restroom. If it's covered, for example, if it's a ta'weed, in our culture, there is ta'weed. As a matter of fact, it's not just a cultural thing. This is mentioned in hadith, where Amr ibn al-As, and this is a side point, going into a tangent over here, that Amr ibn al-As, he would write verses of protection, and he would hang it on his kids until they were able to read on their own. So this is where the whole, ta'weez thing comes from. As long as there are verses of the Quran, there are, it's mentioned in hadith, then it's not a problem. It's not a problem to, just wear it if that is the ultimate objective. The only problem is that when people start writing weird stuff on the ta'weed, I mean, this is when it becomes a problem. I mean, God knows what people are writing. I mean, I've seen ta'weed with a whole bunch of, you can't even make out the marks. It just looks like, cat scratches. You can't really make out the marks as to, what's said, or, whatever is inside. As far as the numbers are concerned, the numbers, every Arabic letter, it represents a number. So that's why Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, the number for that is 786. And this is just, the scholars, they used this number system. It's called the abjad system. It's called the abjad system. So they use this abjad system to write verses of the Quran, or to represent verses of the Quran, so that the Quran is not disrespected. But very few people know the abjad system. So that when they look at a ta'weez and they see a whole bunch of numbers, they start, oh my God, this is something bid'ah and it's black magic, or this is something that's going to harm us. That's not the case. Those who are experts in ta'weed, they could probably tell you exactly which verses are being represented by that numerical system, that abjad system. So back to the question: if a person has a necklace, so if a woman is wearing a necklace with Ayatul Kursi, yes, wudu is a requirement to wear it. And if it touches, that's if it touches the skin. If it doesn't touch the skin, it's all good, no problem. It does matter if there is skin contact, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that the Quran can only be touched by those who are in the state of purity. And all of the madhahib, all of the four schools, they are unanimous that any verse of the Quran, it can only be touched when a person is in complete purity, meaning that it cannot be touched when a person is impure. Okay, can a Muslim inherit from a non-Muslim, or vice versa? All right. So generally, the hadith is لا يرث المسلم الكافر ولا الكافر المسلم, that the Muslim can't inherit from a non-Muslim, and the non-Muslim can't inherit from a Muslim. Now, the ruling is a little bit different when you're living in the land of kufr. So this question was posed to me by a convert, that if he says, he was asking that if he were to die, then do his parents, does his family inherit from him? And if his parents die, or one of his family members die, is it permissible for him to inherit from them? So the standard is that when people are living in the land of Islam, when I say land of Islam, I mean there is a legitimate Islamic state, a legitimate Islamic government, such as the in history we've seen so many Islamic states and governments, the Ottoman Caliphate, uh, in the time of Aurangzeb, the Mughals. In Egypt, you had the Mamluks. In Turkey, you had the Seljuk period prior to the Ottomans. You had the Abbasids before, then you had the Umayyads. These were all Islamic states, meaning that they operated based on the Quran and the Sunnah. So in an Islamic state, a Muslim and non-Muslim cannot inherit from each other if they're living outside of an Islamic state. If they are living outside of an Islamic state. So, for example, they're living in the United States or England or any of these Western countries. So, the non-Muslim cannot inherit from a Muslim, but the Muslim can inherit from a non-Muslim. So, if a Muslim uh, dies, then and his parents are non-Muslim, so that wealth, it will have to go to it will have to go. I mean, and again, this is all theoretical. It will have to go to a charitable organization or a waqf, right? It has to go to a charitable organization, an endowment, a waqf, and this is what a waqf is. So waqf is something that benefits everyone, right? Muslims, non-Muslims alike. There is no condition that states that a waqf only has to benefit Muslims. So the awqaf and the endowments that were created in Turkey during Ottoman times, in the subcontinent during the various kings and caliphs that passed. I mean, those endowments, not only did they benefit Muslims, but they also benefited non-Muslims as well. So awqaf and endowments, this is something that's a very honorable thing. It's a very noble thing, and we should support awqaf. We should try to create our own awqaf, our own endowments. As a matter of fact, all of the masjids in Turkey once upon a time, I'm not sure if that's the case now, but in Turkey, the masjids, they were all they all functioned because people, they donated awqaf. They donated massive endowments just so that the masjids are supported. The Grand Bazaar is a waqf. The Grand Bazaar is a waqf. So those who have gone to Turkey, I'm sure everybody has seen the Grand Bazaar, at least heard of the Grand Bazaar. So the proceeds and whatever profits, and not the profits, but whatever rent they were paying, it was going towards the upkeep of, I believe, the Sultan Ahmed Masjid, or was it the Ayah Sophia? One of these two masjids. So it was either the Sultan Ahmed Masjid or the Ayah Sophia, which is a stone's throw away from Sultan Ahmed. Having said that, back to the question, I'm going into a tangent. So in a non-Muslim country, a Muslim can inherit from a non-Muslim, but a non-Muslim cannot inherit from a Muslim. Rather, it's best that that person, he gives that money or to a waqf, to a foundation where both Muslims and non-Muslims can benefit. Okay. What if a masjid's qibla is off by a few degrees? Does the prayer count? So now, if a masjid's qibla is off by a few degrees, does the prayer count? Yes, the prayer does count, but we have to look at how many degrees. If we're looking at more than 45 degrees, then the prayer does not count, because for the salat to be valid, it's a condition that we face the qibla, and this is specific to fard salah. I'm not talking about nafil. The rules for nafil are different. For fard salah, one of the conditions, one of the faraid is that we face the qibla. So if the masjid's qibla is off by a few degrees, and that is the case in many masjids throughout North America, it's probably off by 10 to 15 degrees, approximately. The prayer does count. The problem is that if it's off by 45 degrees, then that's a genuine issue. So that's when the prayer does not count if one is doing fard, right? And this was, I think, I'm not sure if people have gone to Morocco, but in Morocco, the oldest university in the world, or in the Islamic world, was is the Qarawiyin, which was created by, which was built by Fatima al-Fihri, and her sister. She gave the mosque. She built the mosque, and both of them were very wealthy, and they donated whatever came to their possession. They donated towards the Qarawiyyin University, and the sister donated towards the masjid. So the Qarawiyyin University, I offered salat there a few times, and I noticed that the mihrab, so they have a mihrab and everything there because it's a really old masjid. The mihrab and everything is there. But when I was offering salat over there, I noticed that they were praying a little bit askew. So they were slightly turned, I would say approximately 20 degrees. So I inquired that, why are you guys doing this? So they said that, the Qibla, when this masjid was built, there's the sun method to determine the Qibla direction, right? But anyway, that's a different tangent. So that person said that when this masjid was built, and this masjid was built in, we're talking about, third, fourth century, North Africa. So that's when that masjid and the university was built. So he was saying when that masjid was built, we didn't really know the Qibla. The people of that age, the people of that time, they didn't know the Qibla, or the exact Qibla. And this is the reason why we're praying, because now we know, with modern day technology and stuff, we know that the Qibla is in that specific direction. This is why we're praying a little bit at an angle. So I would say they were off. They were off by about 15 to 20 degrees. So if the mihrab is, straight in front of you, they were praying about 20 degrees with a 20-degree variation. So 20-degree variation they were offering their salat in the Qarawiyin. So yeah, so if the masjid's qibla is off by a few degrees, yeah, prayer counts, but it should not be done. If there's a possibility and if there's a way to make sure that you're praying in the exact direction of the Kaaba, then by all means do that. It should not be done on purpose, or it shouldn't be intentional. Is it permissible for masjids to make a profit from janaza services? It's better that the masjid doesn't make profit from janaza services. I think janaza service, this is a basic service that all masjids should provide. I mean, I believe that there are certain services, basic services, that masjids should provide. Education, Islamic education of the patrons that come to the masjid, children's education, Quran, and just basic, solid Islamic fundamentals, janaza. These are just basic services that the masjid should provide. So I don't think masjid should profit from janaza services. Okay, so let's get to the other question. Okay, Brother Khizr. Recent research suggests that coronavirus primarily enters and attaches to smell receptors and nose. MashaAllah, we have wudu 5 times a day. Please urge all Muslims to perform wudu. Yes, everyone is requested to perform wudu. Make sure you do wudu at home. Don't come to the masjid and do wudu. It's actually better and more virtuous to perform the wudu at home. Tahara, cleanliness, hygiene in Islam, if a person is hygienic, inshallah, the virus is not going to affect you. So just keep on washing your hands. For us, it's just keep on being Muslim, keep washing yourself, keep cleaning yourself, and inshallah, you will be protected. When you go out, wash your hands. After you come back, wash your hands. I mean, wash your hands throughout the entire day. So yes, continuously keep on doing wudu. This was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would always be in the state of purity, and he would do wudu for each and every single salat. There's one time where he offered multiple salawat And Umar radiallahu anh was looking at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam because this was something that was new. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Umar that, are you astonished by what I'm doing? So Umar radiallahu anh said that yes, you've offered so many salawat throughout the day without renewing your wudu, without renewing your ablution. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that amadan fa'altuhu ya Umar, that I did it on purpose, I did it intentionally. I did this intentionally to show that it's permissible to offer multiple salats with one wudu, but it's mustahab, and it's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that he would renew his wudu for each and every single salah. Okay, Dr. Minhas, your question: can dogs be kept inside? So dogs, if there is an entirely separate room, then it would be okay. But dogs generally, they should be taken care of outside or in a separate area altogether, because the lu'ab, the saliva of a dog, this is considered as najis. This is considered impure. So if that gets into the house, then we would need to sanitize. We would need to sanitize the house, purify the house, wash everything 3 times, unless there's some kind of sunroom or something. Nowadays there are houses that have sunrooms, so it'd be okay to keep the dog over there, take care of the animal, and it should and that animal should be used as a guard dog. I mean, the Turkish people, they take care of dogs and cats, but they don't let the dogs and cats into their homes. And if they do let the animals into their homes, what I've heard is that they only let cats. They don't allow dogs. Although they take care of their dogs, they love their dogs, they have tags. You go to Turkey and you'll see that, all of the dogs, they're really, they're quite big and they're healthy, and they're lazy. They're just lying in front of the hotel or lying in front of the house, and they're just eating all day. So the Turkish people, mashallah, they take care of their dogs, but they don't bring their dogs inside, because there is that element of najasa. There's a possibility that their lu'ab, that their saliva might go on to furniture and all around the house, and that would render the house impure. And if that happens, then angels, they don't come into such a house. So how to clean nose properly in wudu? So the way to clean the nose during wudu is to put some water into the nose and blow it out, right? So what the water does, it makes the mucus malleable, and then you can blow everything out and then properly clean your nose. And this should be done thrice. Obviously, one shouldn't sniff that much water where it starts, where you start choking or something. Otherwise, you're going to kill yourself. So just sniff water up to the soft part. So once you hit bone, that's it. Stop. Don't sniff water after that. Otherwise, you're going to drown. So so sniff water up to the soft part, blow it out. Okay. If one touches a dog, does one need to no. So if one touches a dog, does one need to perform wudu or ghusl to pray? No, the dog doesn't break your wudu. Touching a dog, petting a dog, it does not break your wudu. Even if the dog licks you, even that doesn't break wudu. Wudu is only obligatory when there is hadath. So blood coming out, throwing up, flatulence. I mean, these are the things that would break the wudu. Dog saliva, dog licking you, you touching a dog, petting a dog, holding a dog, none of these break the wudu at all. Yes, but you do have to purify your clothes. So if the dog licks you, you have to purify your clothes. If the clothes are impure, or that specific area is impure, not the entire shirt or the entire, jeans or whatever a person is wearing. But the area where the dog has licked you, that has to be pure. But if a dog touches you with its fur, no, the fur, there's no issue with the fur. The fur is not considered najis. The hairs of a dog, they're not considered najis. They're not considered impure. It's the lu'ab, it's the saliva of a dog that's considered impure. So if you're petting a dog or You just held the dog close to you, anything along those lines. As long as that dog doesn't, drool or slobber over you, you're fine. It's all good. Okay, what are the rules for nafal salah qibla wise? No, you don't have to face the qibla. So qibla is a fard. Qibla is a fard in just the fard salat, the mandatory 5 times prayers that we do. It's fard for that. For nafal, no, you can offer nafal in the car. So you'll be driving to work and you can do a few nafals like that. It would be fine. So qibla is not a requisite for nafal prayer. Okay, so that completes today. Okay, yes, last question. Is it permissible for a musafir to travel on the day of Jummah? So, okay, there's some detail over here. So if a person is traveling on the day of Jummah, Friday, right? If he's traveling before Zawal, so Zawal is when the sun is directly above you. That's Zawal time, right? When you can't cast a shadow, right? So if a person is traveling before that time, then it's okay. He can travel. But if the Jummah time comes in, right? So the Jummah time comes in when the Dhuhr time comes in, then he would have to do Jummah first, and then he would travel. So this would be just the etiquette of Jummah over here, right? Okay. Best Indian and Pakistani cooking. Can I pray in shorts? Depends on the shorts. So if the shorts are covering your knees, yes, you can pray in shorts. It's okay to pray in shorts and a t-shirt. The question is, should you do it on a regular basis? Is it against etiquette? Is it against adab? I mean, would we wear, let's say shorts and a t-shirt, although it's permissible and it's okay to do, but would we wear it for an interview? So if we're interviewing somewhere, what would we be wearing? We would be dressed very, we wouldn't be dressed in a casual. We wouldn't be dressed in casual attire. We'd be dressed in really good attire, something that would guarantee us that job, that position. So we have to keep in mind that although it's permissible to offer salat in a t-shirt and casual shorts, it's better to wear good attire. So one shouldn't come to salat in pajamas and just because I want to quickly hit the bed immediately after offering the salat. Okay. Let's see. Okay, another question. If wudu breaks in salah, do I have to stop and do wudu again and pray? Yes. Yeah. If you break your wudu in salah, then yes, you do have to stop. You're going to go repeat your wudu, and you're going to start your salat over again. And no problem. Best Indian Pakistani cooking. It's my pleasure. This is what I'm here for. So whatever questions you have, inshallah, just ask them every single week, and I'll get to them every Saturday evening. And inshallah, keep with the best Indian and Pakistani cooking. Jazakallah khairan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enhance your cooking for all of the people from the subcontinent. Jazakallah. Okay, so I think this is it for today. So inshallah, tomorrow we'll have our tafsir probably at 8:15. So I'll mention it to the admin to make sure that the time that he puts is 8:15, because Isha is coming in a little bit sooner, I believe, tomorrow, and Maghrib is as well. Jazakumullah khairan to everyone who stopped by. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our acts of devotion. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.